nights on the digitization project, which is a fancier name than the job deserves. 40 years of missing persons flyers, boxed by decade, sitting in a records annex nobody visits during the day, coming across my desk one folder at a time so they can be scanned into a database the public will eventually be able to search from home. The scanner has a smell, warm dust and toner, a little ozone under it once the lamp's been running an hour, and it's not unpleasant to me anymore, which probably says something about how many nights I've spent on this shift. You start to feel at home in a smell you'd have called unpleasant the first week. I read every flyer before I feed it through the glass. It isn't required. It's a habit I picked up early and never dropped. Somebody made each of these once, in a hurry, hoping a stranger passing a telephone pole or a train station wall would look twice, and it feels wrong somehow to let a machine be the first thing in 40 years to actually look at it again. So I read them. Names, ages, last seen locations, the particular handwriting of whichever officer filled out the original report, the small human variations, a phone number crossed out and rewritten, a description that runs a little too long because whoever gave it couldn't stop adding detail. Some nights that's the whole job. Reading, then feeding paper through glass, then reading again, the box beside me getting lighter one folder at a time until it's just cardboard and dust by morning. The one I want to tell you about is from a typhoon year. A schoolgirl, 12 years old, last seen near an evacuation shelter that doesn't exist anymore. The building was condemned sometime in the 90s and folded into what's now a parking structure behind a supermarket. Her route out of the neighborhood is drawn on the flyer in a thin dotted pencil line, hand-drawn, the kind of map nobody bothers making anymore now that everything is a pin on a phone screen. I read the whole thing slower than I usually do, because the paper has gone soft and furred at the corners in a way that makes you careful with it, the way you'd be careful holding something that might not survive being dropped. Down in the corner, where every flyer from this decade carries the same case status stamp, most of them say closed, or nothing at all, ink faded past reading. Hers says still open, and the date stamped next to it isn't from the year she vanished. The date is from this year. I assume it's clerical. Somebody upstream batch stamping a stack of legacy open cases before the box ever reached me. An intern following a checklist without thinking hard about what the checklist is actually for. I go to flip the flyer into the scan tray, and that's when I see, next to the stamp, an actual signature. Not a printed default. Not a rubber stamp gone soft and smeared with reuse. Wet ink, a name, a badge number, dated the same week as the stamp itself. Somebody sat down and signed this, recently, on purpose. The way you sign something, you mean. I put a sticky note on the folder, review later, and keep working, because there are 40 more folders in tonight's box, and the shift doesn't stop itself for one strange flyer. The room's ordinary rhythm takes back over easily. The scanner's low hum, the machine warming again after each idle stretch. Other names sliding past under the glass. Other years. Other faces gone soft at the edges the same way hers has. By midnight, I've mostly forgotten the sticky note is even there, tucked under the growing stack of folders I've already logged. I remember it again near the end of the batch, when I sit down to enter the case properly into the digital index, instead of just scanning the flyer and moving on. I pull the full physical file this time, not just the loose flyer, and the file is heavier in my hand than a 40-year cold case sitting untouched in a box has any business being. It's heavier because of the renewals. Not one, a column of them, running back through the folder in strict yearly order, each on its own thin carbon slip. Easy to miss if you didn't already know to look. Still open, a date, a badge number, a signature. 40 slips, one for every single year since she disappeared, without a gap anywhere in the sequence. Somebody has been quietly reopening this exact case on schedule every year, for the entire time the flyer itself sat forgotten in a box in an annex that doesn't get foot traffic. That isn't an oversight repeating itself by accident. An oversight doesn't happen 40 times running, fresh signature in a different hand. I lay the slips out on the desk in order, and the handwriting changes every single time. Some cramped, some looser, one so careful it looks practiced, like whoever held the pen was concentrating on getting it right. 40 different people, or 40 different attempts at looking like 40 different people. This is maintained. Somebody, or some long rotating handful of somebodies, has kept this one file current the exact way you'd keep a subscription paid, quietly, on a schedule, without ever once being asked to explain why. So I start pulling staffing rosters. The precinct that filed the original report keeps them archived by year. Every officer on the books listed by badge number, going back further than the flyer itself does. I take the badge number off the earliest renewal slip and run it against that year's roster. No match. I assume I've transposed a digit somewhere. I check it twice more. Still no match. I move to the second slip, the second badge number, the following year's roster. No match either. Third slip. Fourth. By the 10th, I've stopped assuming it's my error, and I start widening what I'm willing to search. Not just that year's active duty roster, but retirements, transfers out to other precincts, extended medical leave, disciplinary discharge, even the department's own internal record of officers who died while still employed. Every place a name could plausibly be hiding instead of sitting where I expected it. None of them are hiding anywhere. 40 renewals, 40 badge numbers, 40 individual signatures, spanning 40 separate years, and not one of those officers appears anywhere in this precinct's employment history. Not on active duty that year, not on duty any year before or after, no transfer paperwork sending them elsewhere, no retirement date, no line in any ledger that would explain where a real person with a real badge number could have gone. As far as the department's own personnel records are concerned, not one of these 40 people ever worked there at all, not for a single day, not once. I call the records supervisor about it, mostly because I want somebody with more seniority than me to tell me I've read the rosters wrong. I lay it out plainly. The flyer, the renewal column, the cross-check against the rosters, braced for confusion. Maybe a laugh, maybe some ordinary explanation involving a shared duty stamp nobody bothered telling the new hires about. There's a pause on the line instead, not the pause of somebody thinking it through. The particular pause of somebody deciding again whether to say the thing she already decided a long time ago not to say out loud. That file gets handled, she says finally. Nothing else attached to it. When I ask what that actually means, she repeats the exact same 4 words in the exact same order. Flat, like she's reading them off a card taped somewhere near her desk for exactly this situation. Scan it like the others, she tells me. Log it. Move on. Then she hangs up before I can ask a third time. So that's what I do. I scan the flyer properly. I log the folder into the index the same as every other one in the box. I return the physical copy to storage exactly where it was shelved, and the digitization project keeps moving on to the next box, and the one after that. For weeks, the way work does when you let it carry you. It's the final integrity check on the whole finished database. Every digitized record reopened once more, just to confirm nothing corrupted in the transfer. That puts her file in front of me again. I open it more out of habit than any real concern at this point. The renewal column loads on the screen exactly as I left it. 40 slips, 40 years, ending cleanly at this year's entry, the one with the wet ink signature that started all of this. Except now there's a 41st line sitting beneath it, dated next year, stamped still open, identical to all the others before it, formatted so precisely to match the rest of the column that for a moment I assume I generated it myself by accident during the check. I didn't. The signature field is the only part of the line left blank, not faded, not a scanning error, genuinely empty, waiting the exact way a form waits before somebody sits down across from it and picks up a pen. I close the file. I don't open it again. I finish the integrity check on the rest of the batch, and I go home before the scanners even had time to fully cool. And somewhere on the drive back I catch it, faint but unmistakable. Warm dust, toner, a little ozone underneath. The exact smell of that machine, sitting in my own car, engine off nearly 2 hours by then. I think about the supervisor's 4 flat words more than I'd like to. That file gets handled. Not by whom, not how, just handled. The way you'd describe something being taken care of by a process, rather than a person. A thing that continues on its own momentum, whether or not anyone is left who remembers starting it. Some cases don't stay open because nobody has gotten around to closing them yet. Some stay open because somebody is still coming in, on schedule, every year without fail, to do the closing. And after 40 years running, whoever that is, still hasn't finished the job.